G'day, punters. Welcome to another massive edition of All In. We are here. The championships day one will be coming right at you on Saturday, joined by none other than Lewis Willoughby from Sky Racing and Dean Watling, the ponytail man from the Barrier Attendant. Louis, first off, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Good, mate. Good. And Dino, yeah, we're really into the thick of it. Day one of the championships is my personal favourite day to attend Randwick that has a group race on. My favourite day ever out there is Boxing Day, but day one of the championships, without a shadow of a doubt, best day to be on course for a group day, in my opinion, and that's exactly where I hope and plan to be on Saturday. So I can't wait to get stuck into it. Haven't been out to any racetrack to see group racing in so long, so very, very excited.
How good is that, Louis? I hopefully see you out there at some stage. Might pop out later on in the afternoon. Dino, how are you, mate?
Yeah, going good, Gannon. Louis, another big week. It was a bit of a strange week. There's probably not much to follow out of the weekend. It's a bit of a grand final set up, and now we moved to Randwick for 2 days of the championships, which I agree, Louis, are two of the best weekends coming up. Randwick Rail True, Doncaster, TJ, Sires, and then we've got the QE, who could be the race of the year, to be honest. So can't wait to rip into this week and next week too, fellas.
Outstanding. And yeah, I'm with you, Dino. Just so over the moon to get off Rose Hill. Had a gut full of joint. It's nice to be at Randwick. Cannot wait. Righto, boys. Before we kick off the TJ and the Doncaster and previewing those great Group 1 races, Louis, have you got a ride of the week for us?
Yeah, going to give it to Big Bad Benny Mellum on Cascadian in the Australia Cup. Age shall not weary them. Not talking about Ben, but talking about the horse. 8-year-old. Freakish to still be doing it at that top level in the style that he does, off speed. And I was reading an article with the post-race comments from Ben just saying that the plan was to almost purposely get him in trouble in between runners because that's when he finishes off his best. They didn't want a wide swooping run out clear of horses. So he strung him up, held him up and produced him late. And for that to pay off in any race, let alone one at the top level, takes guts and takes a very good ride. So B. Mellum gets the nod this week.
I'll tell you what, I was watching the race and I was thinking, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Can't win from there.
Yeah.
So it's freakish. Mellum, very good. Dino, a couple of horses for the punters, the Black Book.
Yeah, like I mentioned, a tricky week to have a couple of to follow out of. But I think Tissue was brilliant first up. She obviously cost herself with her barrier manners a fair bit, but she's come back in really good form. Probably Plateau's next time. We're looking for a grand final third up. Could be the Queen of the Turf Stakes. Could be a couple of others. But I thought a Tissue come back really well there, Gunner.
Just remind me, is a Tissue the horse that I found at Sandown last preparation at $81 and was like a good thing beat and then just couldn't win again that preparation?
Nah, I don't think that's the horse going.
I'll throw in when Dino and I were at Randwick one day for the Young Professionals in Racing party. We had a big bet on a Tissue and it missed the start. What, a conservative 400 lengths, do you think?
Just one of those
flew home in probably the quickest last 600 metres on the bridle that I've ever seen. And we still lost, but we'll get it back one day.
And how was the Young Professionals Day of Racing, lads? Was that an enjoyable day out?
It was good. It was very good. Get involved. They've changed their name, but they're very good parties. I think they're called Race Connects now. I'll have to double check that. Very, very good if you want to get involved.
Outstanding. And yeah, it wasn't a Tissue, it was some other donkey that I backed, but I found plenty. Right, let's kick off with the Doncaster Mile. I'll tell you what a cracking race this is going to be. I'm sure Louis will give us a bit of a profile and Dino might chime in with something as well. But we've got Fangirl, courtesy of the Green Company tab. Fangirl, $6. Mr. Brightside, $6. Zugotcha, 8. Alligator Blood, 11. Protagonist, 11. Communist, 15. Converge, 15. And Boot the Cesar for me mate Dino, $15. Dino, kick us off, mate. But before we go into too much detail about what you're tipping and some profiles and things like that, Rail True, soft 6 at the moment, anywhere from 5 to 25 mils of rain. What are your thoughts?
Yep, I think we harp on it a lot. Back to Randwick Rail True, and I harped on it this week that you want to be back at horses to be profitable long term in top 6 in running. But this is the one track and rail position that you can back those horses off speed. Running line, 6 metres plus in the straight, even more so, Gunner, with the with the rain about, I think we'll definitely be on a softish track. I don't think it'll be too bad, but soft 5, soft 6 potentially. So I'm looking for horses off rails, midfield, a little bit worse than midfield. You don't want to be too far back, but getting to that sort of lane 6 plus in the straight is going to be key, especially with a big field. Louis, Gannon, we're going to have a lot of pressure up front, a lot of tempo. So I think that's the profile I want to follow. I think barriers don't matter too much in that sense, except for horses drawn sort of 1 to 5, curled up on the inside. I don't think that's the place to be. Louis might go for a bit more of a historical profile. I thought it was a really open edition of the Doncaster this year. There's no real headline 3-year-old heading there. Obviously, the main horses are your Bright Sides, your Alligator Bloods, who all carry the big weight, which isn't probably the best profile. You're looking for those horses under 55 kilos. For that reason, I'm keen to go with Duke de Sesso, who comes out of the trials. In port for the Maranusas team. I love the recent trial, was outstanding. I think just it's a different form line. Like I mentioned, really good trial. Want to see it drawn off, but I think this horse can really aim up here in Australia. So I'm happy enough at the $15 price to play that way, Louis.
Yeah, it's interesting. I am worried about that horse. I was looking at its form, 2,400 metre winner, hadn't won over a mile since its second start way back in, I think it was 2021. So it's been a long time since it's been at something this short. And I just thought, oh, surely not, straight into one of Australia's greatest Group 1s over the Randwick Mile. But honest to God, if any camp can do it, it's those two fellas who train. So, yep, wary of it. I've kind of picked out 3. I thought Fangirl was the obvious choice. 4th up, comes off some good / unlucky runs behind Animo. Latest second in the Group 1, George Ryder got too far back, flew home. Has ratings good enough to win this and is going really well. And as you mentioned, Dino, if you look at the historical profile, you do not want to be carrying over 55. The last 4 winners have been from anywhere 49.5 with Brutal up to 53 with Cascadian. Mr. Brightside won it last year, but has to carry an extra 5 kilos. The last to do it with 57 was Happy Clapper. And with respect to the horses in this field, I don't think there are any Happy Clappers. So I'm kind of trying to steer away from those up at the weight. So Fangirl tip. I think Converge has been a bit missed by the market. Group 1 Randwick Guineas winner, 3rd up at this track and distance. So it's got the profile previously to suit. Sat outside the lead in the George Ryder last start. Only claimed very late. I thought it was a big run. And came into this race last year 5th up and just was at the end of the prep and ran 18th of 20, I'm pretty sure. So I'd just be forgetting that. This is a much better profile this year, 3rd up. And Gentleman Roy, I just thought at a big price. It's going to make the field. It's 19th. Rachel King's booked to ride. Wasn't any match in an all-star mile. Outside the lead, knocked up. But it has run well in high-pressure 1,600-metre races before. It was beaten only a length in a Group 1 Toorak, and they're always historically fast-run races. And I just thought at the price was maybe worth a little spec, something a place, probably more than a win. But for a horse who is going to be in the field, if they accept, which I can't see why you wouldn't, I was keen on it a bit each way. But in that order, I'd go Fangirl, the obvious, Converge, missed, Gentleman Roy, best each way spec.
Love it, lads. Well, I'd be probably happy to have something on Osipenko, but it's probably 24th, but maybe a little bit too low on that order of entry or the ballot at the moment.
It's a good shout.
Unconfirmed, so it will steer clear of it. I thought Fangirl was just a fantastic bet if we got a good track, like just such a great bet. But I think you'll get $6 anyway, so no point having it all in play there. That's the name of the show, All In. The horse that I think is worth a bet here is Communist, $15, $4.50 the place. We're talking about a horse that finished 0.6 off Fangirl, now needs Fangirl 3 kilos better for the last start run. 49 kilos, fits the profile, gets Tyler Schiller. He's due another big win, and I just think that's a very easy bet to have because we know the horse can sit forward. And look, Soft 7, I think Soft 7 will be the worst we get on that track's been pretty. It's still 25, 26 degrees. It's not the typical 18, 19 degrees, but you think, oh, track's won't dry. It's still pretty humid out there. It'll be dry enough. So Soft 7 at worst, likely 6. If we don't get the rain, it'll be easily get to a 4. They're the 2 plays for me, guys. But I think it's a really good race, and I just flat out can't wait. Even though it's probably lacks the serious depth that we've had in the past, I think it makes it more competitive.
It's not a vintage Doncaster, but it's a very, very good betting race.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I think, Louis, to your point too, Alligator Blood might meet that Happy Clapper class, but the profile of what we're looking for here, at this track where Happy Club could get wide and flash home. Alligator Blood's not going to be doing that. That's a massive negative going forward there. Righto, boys, let's go to the Australian Derby. 2,400 metres, Sharp and Smart, $2.80, Pericles, $6, Mark Twain, $8, and I'm going to go with Andalus, $11, Elliptical, $11, Full of Sincerity, $11, and Manzoi's $11. I have no idea how they're betting $11 Manzoi's, but it's ridiculous. Louis, kick us off for the Australian Derby.
Yeah, no real strong opinion for me. I'm going to go with Mark Twain, who comes off that Group 1 NZ Derby run behind Sharp and Smart, as does Andalus. It ran second, Mark Twain ran third. It sat near last on the fence, had to get around 100 horses in the straight while the winner was so far in front of it. It flew home. I was in Sky 2 that day when we covered the race. It was massive. And I went on the market as soon as it had finished to see what it was. It was 101 into, 26 or 16 or whatever the crazy price was. It's lightly raced. It's sixth up. It's deep in the prep, which suits the profile. If you look at this race previously, you've got the real outlier is Hitotsu last year only being second up off of first in the Group 1 Australian Guineas. If you go back through the field, Explosive Jack, through the results previous years, Explosive Jack 7th up, Quick Thinker, Angel of Truth and Lavendi 5th up. Jon Snow was 10th up and Tovago was 7th up, and both of those came from New Zealand. So I think there's no problem being deep into a prep. I think the distance will suit, and I just like it at the price over Sharp and Smart, who was good, had to fight hard in that NZ Derby, but yeah, Mark Twain for me.
Interesting one, isn't it? Really, really interesting with all these Kiwis coming over and just absolutely dominating. I wonder, Dino, question for you. Have we got caught up in the fact that the top, 3 or probably 4 of the top 6 horses here are the New Zealanders? Have we got caught up in the Kiwi form here for the Derby, or are they spot on?
I think they're spot on. I think the thing to tie it all into is the distance of the races. I think if it's a shorter distance, I'd definitely back our horses. But we saw Prowess come over and beat up our fillies last weekend. I just think our depth at the top end of this 2,400, 2,000 metre plus isn't probably there, which we saw in the Oz Guineas as well with Levente and Imperatrives. I think they're normally disregarded in the market, albeit Sharp and Smart's come over here. So that's maybe why we're getting a shorter price. I'm agree with Louis, though, in the sense that it's probably not a race I'm too keen to look into, but Gano, I echo your thoughts in Manzoice is a really, really big price. He's been primed for one run this preparation. It's the 2,400 metres. So if I was to lean anyway around that $8 price, I'd be keen to chime in that sense, Gano.
And Louis, there's only one thing that the punters and the followers want to know. Did you take the $101?
No, I had no idea the race was even on. I was sitting in Sky 2 twiddling my thumbs, and all of a sudden it was Group 1 NZ Derby time. And so I'll watch this. And this thing absolutely flew home. Big key for Manzoice is beat Sharp and Smart last time they met over this distance, and beat him pretty well too. It was like only the last few strides, but was just gobbling him up the entire straight. So I agree that it is also over the odds.
Yeah, and that's my point there, gents. Sharp and Smart, the Rogerson stable say the horses improve. Well, naturally, of course, the horses improve, but if Manzoice improves as well, then that $11 is absolutely ridiculous. Yep. Manzoice doesn't have to improve for that $3.50 the place to be paying us a dividend. So my play would be like a 1x4 play Manzoice, because I struggle to see how we're not going to get a result there, barring a complete disaster. Righto, gents, let's move to the TJ Smith Stakes. This looks like wow. Speaking of cracking races, Giga Kick is your favourite there, as my computer screen has just blown up. In Secret, $4.50. Let me just run through a couple of these others. Nature Strip, $5. I Wish I Win, 8. Private Eye, 8. Mazoo, 11. Dino's Best Mate, Lost and Running, 15. Passive Aggressive, 15. What a segue. Dean Watling, what do we got into the TJ Smith Stakes?
Phenomenal race. It's a really interesting race, Louis, the profiling. Horses that have won this race have come through all different setups. The Challenge Stakes ×3, Santa and Lane come through the Newmarket, Trapeze Artists through the Randwick Guineas, and Chautauqua through the Newmarket and a couple of other races. So it's not a profile race that you bang on a lead up to it. In saying that, I honestly don't know how they beat Giga Kick here. He was absolutely phenomenal first up. Me and Gunno were both against him heavily at the price and the setup, but his sectionals home are a horse that is of the elite level. I don't think he can run any faster. Zach Purden gets in the saddle. So Craig Williams is an elite jockey, but then you get Zach Purden, that you can't get any better at the moment. I think the rail position, the way it's going to play this race, high pressure, Randwick Rail True is just going to suit this horse to the ground. I think there's knocks in the field. Nature Strip, Eduardo, I think they're past their prime. Lawson's Running's had a setback. Marzu was a little bit disappointing first up, I thought, in the Newmarket, but gets back around to bend and on a wet track. So I think we can punch holes in the rest of the race. I just think he could kick around that $3, $3.50 mark. He's got to start sub $3 for sure. So he is a really good bet here for me, Louis.
Question for you boys just quickly. Sorry to interrupt, but a horse like I Wish I Win was enormous first up down the straight. Then obviously was second up was its target, but sometimes it's very hard to back up that first up run, either if you can take this one. Do we see it get back to its first up run?
I think we might. Okay. I think the biggest thing is the way the track's going to play as well. It's going to suit that horse perfectly. And probably for the same for Lofty Strike. They've both been crying out for wins this preparation. Lofty Strike obviously had a win, but in a big Group 1, and they're going to get the right setup. So really good point, Gannon. Really good point.
I'll get to that.
You can get to that now.
I think, as Dino mentioned, Giga Kick is the obvious, but there are a lot of dunnos here. As you mentioned, I Wish I Win. Does it get back to its best third up off that huge first up run, flat second up? I'm getting splinters because I'm really starting to sit on the fence the more and more I look at this race. I can't just completely pile into Giga Kick. It's the obvious, obviously, but is it too obvious? I don't know. Passive Aggressive is one that I think had no one spoken about, and I don't understand why. It won that Group 2 Challenge Stakes and won it fair and square. Dual 1,200-metre winner, not sure that's going to be an issue. It's won a trial since, won it nicely. It's done nothing wrong, and I just think there's been a lot of chat re Giga Kick and others, and the actual winner of that Challenge Stakes has kind of just flown under the market. So I don't mind it. Lofty Strike, as you mentioned, I'm desperate for this horse to win a Group 1. I cannot jump off to save my life. It's going to cost me an arm and a leg by the time it's done, but I guarantee you the time I jump off, it'll bolt in and win a Group 1 and everyone will be rejoicing and I'll be there crying. So I have to keep it in. I think Marzu got lost down the straight, Dino. Didn't really look that comfortable. And then if you kind of watch its last 100, it probably sticks with a lot of the others. I don't think it was conceding that much ground once they went past. So it's a chance too. But yeah, I mean, I could go on and on with so many horses in this market. I was firstly going, yep, Giga Kick, and then I started looking, and now I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you, Louis. Like, on face value, Giga Kick is clearly, top pick. However, do you want to take $3 now? What happens if he draws 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're thinking, why have I done that? I think in secret there'd be some weight relief there, being a 3-year-old filly. How much of a turnaround the difference between horses, between what she had last start and what she gets here, will be interesting to see. Haven't done all the math on that, so I'm not willing to be betting her at the moment. I declared Nature Strip gone at the start of the preparation. I haven't seen anything to suggest to me a reason why he isn't completely gone. I Wish I Win. I think the setup will be great as long as he can draw middle to wide. I think Private Eye, we haven't mentioned it. Absolutely no reason why Private Eye can't jump out of the ground. Marzu can jump out of the ground. Lost and Running, Pen, Passive Aggressive for sure. So for me, I'm looking at Giga Kick as a betting prospect after Barrier Draw. I Wish I Win, Private Eye, and Passive Aggressive, all betting prospects. But yeah, this is one of those races where I think I really want to see some barriers first before betting. So I think Dino's really confident in Giga Kick there, but looks like a decent race, lads. Righto, we'll kick off here. We'll wrap it up. Nice one. With the English sires, Cylinder $2.80, Don Corleone $4.50, V8 $6, Brave Mead $8, How Empire of Japan $8, Cafe Millennium, save for this $11. Dino, kick us off with the English sires.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong profile for this race, fellas. 8 of the past 11 have finished first or second in their last start. 7 out of 11 come through the Golden Slipper. We saw Fireburn, Animo, King's Legacy, Microphone, Yankee Rose, and a couple of others. And 5 out of 11 have run in the top 2 in the Golden Slipper. So I think that's the key lead up to this race. You've got to be a good horse to win the size, and I think that's suggested in the profile. So there's no surprise that Cylinder and Don Corleone head the market. V8 was obviously really impressive last start in Flemington, Louis. And then we got Brave Mead, who is in the market, but potentially I'm not sure if it backs up. Cafe Millennium, I'm keen to probably put the line through that horse. I think its tick over trial was very, very average. I think it maybe needs a spell and be matured. But I think top end of the market's got it right. I'd probably lean the way of Cylinder purely on the basis of its adaptability and versatility with its racing pattern. Obviously got beat in the slipper, but there's a good back to third, and I think that's the right profile. So no spells in the price. I'm probably not chiming in, Louis, but Cylinder on top for me.
Boys, just a quick one. I noticed a horse that you both were keen on last week. Louis tipped it his best bet. Butch Cassidy is in the market here. Not sure if it's going there. Louis, would you give Butch Cassidy a chance if it lines up, or is it probably just a grade below at the moment?
Oh, look, off the historical profile, no, but I think it's a good horse. I'm probably more keen to see it as a 3-year-old.
Yep.
The first up run was good. The win at Mornington that I tipped last week was good, but didn't really run much time, and probably for how short it was, I wanted to see them, falling off the screen at the end. But he put a gap on them, but to then come into a Group 1 ATC size produce behind a horse who ran second in a Golden Slipper, etc., I don't know. Mate, I'm banning myself from 2-year-olds. I'm done with them. I can't back a winner of the baby, so I am just barred for life. In saying that, I might have something on Godzilla just because.
Just because you can, son. Yeah, look, Dino summed it up perfectly. There's only two possibles at this stage, given what we know, Cylinder and Don Corleone. The stats back it up. I think the horses back it up. I do think Don Corleone can definitely close the gap. Maybe a little bit of, there might be a little bit too big a disparity in the market there. I think Don Corleone might be a bit better suited over the 14 as opposed to Cylinder at the 14. But yeah, there's not a lot between them, guys.
Can I ask, did you think Empire of Japan ran equal to Don Corleone in that slipper?
Yeah, I thought it ran really well, and I think 1,400 metres perfect. I think probably the more important factor is the wet track, Louis. I think its debut win, it's been its best win, which was on a heavy 8 surface. So I think it brings the right profile, like you said, and King's Legacy come through the slipper and ran 9th in that to win this race. So I could make a case that horse should be a lot shorter and brings the right profile.
Because it's almost double the price in that tab market of Don Corleone. And when you watch their last 100, they're right side by side. I really couldn't put much or anything between them at all. So I was surprised. Yeah.
Probably has a little bit more upside too, Louis. I think Don Corleone's probably deep into the prep, where Empire Japan probably has that touch more upside compared to Cylinder and both Don.
There you go, Louis. So you found one. So we can pen Godzilla and we can throw Empire of Japan in there for you, and you've just tipped us.
Godzilla's going to win now.
Yeah, let's do a best all-in play. Dean Watling, kick us off.
Yeah, TJ Smith, kick. Very, very, very keen for this horse around that 350 price, as long as it doesn't draw Barrier 1. And if it draws Barrier 1, I'm going to blame you, Gannon.
Outstanding. You can blame me, and I'll be walking all the way home. Louis, your best all-in play of the week.
After such a strong best all-in start to the season for myself, I'm getting the yips. The past 2 or 3 weeks, I've just don't know what to do. I've got no idea here. I thought this is probably the hardest week of them all, in my opinion, for all-in plays. So I will make it Fangirl in the Doncaster.
Love it. There's a guarantee to get the heavens to open up, Lou. I'll make it really easy. Man's Voice is a great 1x4 play. I just think it's the easiest all-in bet you could find this week. I think it's safe. Yep. And look, Waller's just a champion. He's a star. The moment you start talking about how good Annabelle Neesham's going, or the Snowdens are your grand final trainers, or Maren Oostis are just the best you've ever seen, and then whack. Here goes old CJ Waller over the top, grand final day. Righto, boys. This is the one that the punters, the listeners, the followers, this is what they stick around for. They waited a good 20-odd minutes to hear this. Louis, give us your best midweek play.
I was just having a quick look at Ballarat on Tuesday to see if I could pull something out wide, but the answer is no. So I'm going to go to Sandown Hillside on Wednesday. I'm going to take you to race number 3, tab number 8, So She Can Fly. Dan Bowman, John Allen off a first up win at Ararat. I think it's all second up. It's 1 for 1 second up. Really good return to racing, and I think it can win again. So race 3, number 8, Wednesday, Sandown, So She Can Fly.
Standing, Dino.
Yeah, Kembla Grange, Tuesday, race 2, number 2, All Hallow Tide. O'Shea teams up with Tommy Marker, and I don't know how this horse got beat Last up, blinkers go on here, third up, 1,600 metres, and draws, importantly, off rails on a heavy Kembla track. They'll be getting to the outside fence. So, Kembla Grange, race 2, number 2, all Hello Tide for me, Gano.
I'll tell you, I got beat last time, Dean, because I was on. I could stop freight trains, my mate. Well, I tell you what, you've potted me, Dino, because you want my horses to get to the outside of Kembla, and Kembla is your backyard. So hopefully you can drive up there and you can get the roller to the inside. Because I'm going to kick off in the first with a horse by the name of Breadcrumbs for the Nathan Doyle stable, because he can just find a race, and he's found a provincial 3-year-old up maiden plate here for this horse. Should be getting the job done at race 1, number 4, Breadcrumbs. Boys, it's been a blast as always. Dino, thanks for putting my hair earlier on. There's not much of it left. I'll go get a haircut. I'll hopefully look more sharp for you next week, brother. Day 2 of the championships, cannot wait. Got anything to add? Any jerseys or hats you want to give away, Dino?
Nah, not this week. Not this week. Get involved though. Get in the comments, YouTube, everything like that. Chime in. Spray Louis. Spray Gannon for his hair or lack of hair.
Holy moly.
It's a bit harsh, but I'll cop it. Righto, boys. Have a good one, punters. Thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe. Check it out. All the stuff at thegreatstuff.com. Go check out some of Dino's stuff. And, of course, after you have had about 13 schooners on a Friday afternoon, go to Spa Racing 1 and check out all Louis' fine work. Thanks, boys.
See ya.
See ya.